All right, question 4 was y equal to square root x, I think. And then y is equal to what? And then what more? It's the first quadrant, right? First quadrant.
Yep.
This is probably the hardest question I can give it to you. And the reason why is this question is a little bit more difficult is you can actually do this question in much more efficient way. I'm going to talk about an efficient way today, which is I did not talk about yesterday, or we did, but I don't know if anybody tried to use that. So I here, this is the point. Somebody answer that for me.
Less than WANG.
They need to do a check inventory. You're not in trouble.
Check inventory.
Yeah, like
Just press E. Oh, I don't have my
Yeah, don't go.
they got me.
That's in like saying that my attendance is
It's like my license is about to get taken away.
that was like in depth. That was like in depth.
All right, so shh. What?
Is the efficient method doing 0 to 4 of root x and then only doing 2 to 4 of root x minus 2?
I will talk about that. Just give me a second. Just be patient. So I hear, right? You're gonna see here, and you're gonna see here. So the top function is always the black line, but it has a different bottom function star I2. Do you see that? So I can break this section to 2 compartments, 1 and 2, right? So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna calculate this here, but I'm also knowing how to find intersection. So your goal is to find intersection first. So how do I find the intersection? Well, find the intersection is set square root x equal to x minus 2. Square both sides. That's going to be x equal to, now do not kill puppy here. So it'll be x squared minus 4x plus 4. It's not x squared plus 4 or x squared minus 4. Does that make sense? Now I'm going to subtract x on both sides. So that's going to be 0 equal to x squared minus 5x plus 4. You're going to have factor this minus 4 and x minus 1. Now you're going to get x equal to 4, x equal to 1. But one of them is extraneous. Obviously, the 4 is the one that's correct. The 1 is not correct. Why 1 is not correct? Because this graph never curved this way. If it curved this way, you would have another intercept. That's called extraneous solutions. Is that okay? So you cross this one out. So then you're going to have 2 integrals. Why? Because in this particular case, here is top, here's the bottom. So, and here there's a top and there's a bottom. So there are 2 different ones, so you had to do 2 separate integrals. What do you do is you're going to do separate integral between 0 to 2. What's function on the top? Square root x, right? So that's going to be root x. So this is going to be root x. And minus the bottom, which is 0 dx. Plus integration from 2 to 4. Top is what? Square root x minus x minus 2. And make sure you put a parenthesis on that, because if you don't, then you're going to make mistakes. So always put a parenthesis every time you substitute something. Dx. Any questions so far? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to say this again. Guys, please use a calculator, evaluate it first. Because if you set up wrong, your answer is wrong, there's no point evaluating. On your test, you're not gonna have a calculator on your quiz. But however, at a practice, you want to make sure that you set up correctly. Because on AP exam, on FRQ, they only care about the setup. They don't care about your evaluation. If you don't know how to take an integral, they're not taking points off on you if you don't know how to take an integral, depending on which type of question. At least on volume question, usually they just say, hey, set up using the calculator. It's going to be in the calculator part. Very rarely they put it on the non-calculated part, so you can set up, you can get by, do the calculation. Now, if you got a right answer, then go back to work out a calculation because you can practice the calculation. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to take an integral of this. What's the integration of x to the 1 half? X to the 3 half over 2, right? 2/3, right? Between 2 to 0 plus integration of x 3 over 2, 2 over 3, minus x squared over 2, and then plus 2x because this sign is distribute between 4 to 2. I'm going to type in 2 to the 3 over 2 minus, right? Is this okay? Now I'm going to have, no, plus, sorry. Plus 2 over 3, 4 to the 3 over 2, minus 4 squared over 2, plus 2 times 4. Minus, this is how I work. I don't work anything on the side. I work straight line from top and bottom. So 2/3 times 2 to the 3 over 2 minus 2 to the square over 2 plus 2 times 2. So now you did this. Now what I'm doing is I'm just going to go back and simplify it. But I also worry about this negative sign. This is distributing. I have to worry about that as well. So there's a lot of things can be simplified. So let's go simplify. Anything you see can simplify.
Well, the 2/3, 2 to 3 over 2 cancels out because there's the negative.
Hopefully you see that. That's actually one of the most important things because you don't know what's 2 to the 3 over 2. So good job. So that is simplified this. Does that make sense? Does that make sense for everybody? That's the most important one that you need to see because sometimes you just need to work out. You're going to see anything can simplify first. Everything else is going to be reasonable. So I'm just going to simplify this. It's going to be 2/3 times 8 because 4 to the 3 over 2 is square root of 4 to the 3rd power, which is 2 to the 3rd. That's equal to 8. So that's equal to 8 minus 8 plus 8 minus parenthesis of 2 plus 4. Is that okay? Sorry, that's negative 2 plus 4. So the two things cancel out. Boom, boom. So it'll be 16 over 3 minus 2, which is 3 over 3, which is 10 over 3. Can you work all the way through? So now it requires like consistency, understand how to do arithmetic. Some of you guys gonna go Calc 3, Calc 2. Everything is about consistency.
If you didn't graph, like the functions, how would you know like which one is an extraneous solution? I'm gonna test that.
That's a great question. I honestly I won't know, but I'm more worried about this is 4. This is visually I can see it.
Okay.
On the other side is because square root x a graph, it could be like this way, it's negative square root x, and that's why this point's extraneous. Usually on SAT is they will give you this question like this. One thing is you can plug it in. You can plug in this. Sorry, that's a good question. So square root of x equal to x minus 2. I'm gonna plug in 1. So b square root 1 equal to 1 minus 2. 1 is equal to negative 1. So that's extraneous.
Is there a way to tell if there's like the top and bottom without having to draw it out?
I won't prefer that. I will always prefer drawing over anything. Now, do you see how I calculate the area though? So I'm going to show you how do I calculate this area. The way I calculate the area, so I'm going to copy and paste on this one, so that way I don't have to rewrite it. Copy. So the way I calculate, the way that the areas accumulate is this way. It's going from here and adding the lines from top and bottom, and you add a line from left to right. So you're going from left because you integrate from 0 to 2, right? So that's the first part. And then you integrate from here to here. And from the lower value to higher value. That's how you do it. The integration basically just says summation, adding all the lines together and becomes area. Does that make sense for integral? It's like you're doing a small Riemann sum. Very, very tiny, small Riemann sum. You're adding each individual one. Is this okay? Now, what if I change the question in look how much work is it? So much shit. So much work, right? So is any way I can do it more efficiently? So let's look at this. I have this question. I say, hey, how about I do like horizontal orientation? So that means I'm going to calculate my area going from here. But if you do this, right, when do you stop? At which value do we stop? As a 4? No, we do it from the bottom to up. So we look at which value do we stop? 2. Does that make sense? You stop at 2? And those of you guys says, I don't know why it's 2. Well, it's a 4. So y equal to square root x. You can plug in 4 here. So it'd be y equal to square root 4. That's equal to 2. So you stop at 2. And the way I calculate the area is going to be from this direction to this direction. Does that make sense? The way I'm calculating the area is this one. But what's cool thing is I only require one integral. I don't need to do 2 now because that's actually better. So look at this, right? The way you calculate the area is going to go from down to up like this. Now it's, remember yesterday we say right minus left. If I turn my head to facing this direction, if I turn 90 degrees this way, the red functions on the top or the black functions on the top? Huh? Red is on the top, right? The black is on the bottom. Do you see that? So I'm going to erase that work. So I'm going to say, hey, that's erase this. This becomes the top function. The red line becomes the top functions. And the black line becomes the bottom function.
Return it 90 degrees.
Turn 90 degrees. Yeah. So, or better yet, it's right minus left. If you look at it straight up, it's right minus left. Is that okay? Don't just nod. If you have a question, ask. Catherine, do you have a question? Don't be a nodder. If you nod like this and you don't understand, that's a crime in my class. That means I'm a shitty teacher. You're afraid to ask me questions. Yes.
What about the blue line?
Blue line is no longer needed because you don't need to worry about this part anymore. So I'm going to erase that. So I'm going to erase that. So because I'm going to calculate area like this way. How many integral are they? Just one. Okay, so
So whichever the furthest right is going to be the new top.
furthest right, yeah, furthest right is going to be the top, is right minus left. So also known as right minus left. I think that's another way to look at it. So does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going to do the calculation. See, I'm going to show you how easy that is. what do we do calculating from where to where? From which value? Where do we start calculate area? 0 to 2, good. That's it, 0 to 2. Now, the problem of this functions, right? Y equal to square root x and y is equal to x minus 2. This, I need to change in term of x equal to something. What is x equal to in this case?
Y squared.
Y squared. Does that make sense? If I square both sides, x equal to y squared. And y squared, where's the y squared? Y squared is distance from here to here. Does that make sense? Think about when y is equal to 2. If y equal to 2, it's going to be 4 because that's the distance from here to here. Is that okay? Is that okay? So now what is the second one? X is equal to what? Y plus 2. So the top function is y plus 2. Minus the bottom function is y squared. dy, and you're done. And look how easy this calculation. Look at how much work is this. This a lot of crap load of work, right? Now look at this question. Nope. Everything's super easy because y squared over 2 plus 2y minus y to the 3 over 3 between 2 to 0. I plug in 2, so it'll be 2 squared over 2 plus 2 times 2 minus 2 to the third over 3 minus all the zeros. So it's going to be 2 plus 4 minus 8 over 3. So it'll be 6 over 3. So 18 over 3 minus 8 over 3. So that's equal to 10 over 3. See how easy this calculation is. There's no 2 integral. There's no something to the 3 over 2 power. They're just simple numbers.
Is horizontal always going to be easier?
Okay, so that's another question. Is a horizontal always going to be easier? No. Whatever is easier is the one that require only one integral. So sometimes horizontal is going to be harder. Sometimes horizontal is going to be easier. Now, I want you to do this question in terms of horizontal. So think about this question that you have in the question 2. I think y equal to square root x, right? Y equal to 4, and y equal to negative 1/4 x. I want you to do this one with the perspective of horizontal and see how efficient that is. So efficient that you're going to say, well, why didn't you teach me earlier? Because you have to know, sometimes easier to do one perspective than the other. Because the way you accumulate area is completely different. One is a horizontal translation, one is horizontal orientation, one is vertical orientation. You have to understand both. Now you can do all the other question, finish a worksheet, help out each other. If you understand the Y orientation, X orientation. Now on AP exams, not as much horizontal perspective. I give it to you is because I want you to challenge you to think a little bit more. But on AP exam, it's only like vertical perspective.
Yeah, that's the free one.
I love signing up for dual enrollment today, the day before the deadline. Tomorrow.
You sign up for dual enrollment.
My parents want me to at least apply for it.
So
How do you do that?
I honestly think
Valencia's website. I'm learning this right now. My mom was like, "Hey, you need to do this like ASAP."
What is it? Pizza?
Yeah. Did you take your PERT?
No. Do I?
Unless if you could take your PERT today, I don't think you could do it. I don't really want to do it.
did you guys got that question? It's easier.
Oh yeah, you could use your.
Is it easier?
Way easier. Look at my work too. When I did it. It's crazy, bro. I did like negative 16 to 0.
Yeah, it's so much work if you do it inefficiently. And the next thing is 0 because you don't have to plug in anything at 0. I meant money your help. You know how to do it? Kind of it's not good enough.
Okay, I sent it to you on WhatsApp.
Okay, so this is the common answer.
yeah.
Oh, we're going
Oh wait, no. Still thinking in terms of
Elaine, you're so nice.